Hey there friends, Dave Paulides, Candyman Missing Project, a copyrighted edition for our video channel. Some of you like to say that this is Huck TV. Well, there's Huck. She's doing good. She's happy. It's cold outside. We got snow in all the mountains around us in the Flathead Valley. Yeah, this is in the middle of June and we're getting that. So she's happy because Pyrenees like really cold weather. And people say, oh, she's getting fat, she's getting fat. No, that's all hair. She's really, really thick with hair. They have 2 layers of hair. So, no, Huck is not fat at all. When we wash her down, she's skin and bones under that. So, please no demeaning statements about her weight. Ha! All right. Yeah, they all know you're here. So thank you. Few words about my work before I move on. There have been many, many demeaning, derogatory, horrific posts in the last month coming from a variety of people. I'm not sure where it's coming from. I'm not sure why it's happening, but they're consistent. And I'm afraid that if I am not in town monitoring these statements, these people will take over the chat on the video comments. That concerns me a lot. I'm coming up on some times in the near future where I'm going to be out of town for an extended period of time. Videos will still be going because I'll upload them and they'll be playing while I'm gone, new ones. But I'm afraid I may not be able to let you comment because there won't be any controls in place. I don't see any other way around it right now, and I've got to think about it. The other problem is that YouTube has been turning off the comment section at their will, whenever they want. And you guys have seen this. So if it goes down, there's a good chance I didn't even do it. But that's the way it is. Several of you have commented, well, Dave, I haven't been unsubscribed as a subscriber, so what are you talking about? All you have to do is read the comments on the video. I would say 1 out of 10 of you have been forcibly unsubscribed in the last 6 months. Maybe more. It's probably way more. And then an equal number of you don't get notifications when my videos come up. Now, if you are subscribed and you're not getting notifications that the videos come up, it's just like being unsubscribed. It's just a different form of censorship. And this is what I'm faced with. YouTube is not my friend, it's obvious. They don't like my content, that's obvious. And I don't know another way around it other than finding a new platform, which we're getting close, we're getting real close. And that is not to say I love you guys a lot because of what you've done for me. I mean, 450 plus subscribers, that's a lot. But I probably have over 1 million because I've been to this exact spot before with a number of subscribers and then I suddenly lost 50,000 just overnight. No rationale, no mention, just gone. And with the number of you being forcibly unsubscribed, I only know about some of you because you're the ones that have acknowledged it and understood it. But there's probably tens of thousands that have been forcibly unsubscribed that just forgot that they were subscribed to us. This is why it's not sustainable. Now, I'm never going to leave without telling you where I'm going or how I can be there. And I'll always keep this channel operative at some level as long as I'm not permanently banned by YouTube, which could happen. So that's the start. Now this book right here, Missing 411, A Sobering Coincidence. When I was doing research on missing people, I started to notice that several people fit a subcategory of what I was writing about. Healthy young men would disappear. Oftentimes they were drinking alcohol at a party, in a bar, in an urban environment, and then nobody would see them where they went or how they left, and then suddenly they'd be gone. Days, weeks, months later, they would be found in a body of water, deceased. And what happened is that one group of parents got together and said, hey, this isn't right. Something is really wrong here. We're going to do a second autopsy, because they didn't believe the autopsy on the first one. They did a second autopsy, and most autopsies in the United States screen for 24 different types of drugs. The more you screen for, the more it costs. Well, coroners are given a budget, and they got to stick to that budget. One drug that is not on that 24 list is called GHB. GHB has been called the date rape drug. It's nasty. And the body, our body, produces it in very minute amount. Well, these parents that did the second autopsy found super high levels of GHB in their son's body. Astronomical levels that weren't picked up on the first autopsy. And it explained a lot how that person could get into a body of water and drown even though they were great swimmers. Well, if you have super high levels of GHB, it almost makes you comatose. You understand what's happening, but you really can't do much about it. That's why it's a date rape drug. I have been a loud, prolific advocate that coroners add that drug to the 24 list. Nobody listens. I think it's key to what's happening to these young people. And it involves a case I talk about today. I have been very cautious about not coming out early and trying to draw associations where they don't exist. Young man disappears in a downtown area, his body's found later on. Coroner does an autopsy and they found out, say he was poisoned, or say he has a bullet wound in his head or something. Well, I would look like an idiot if I came out early and said, yeah, I know what happened. Even though I know what happened, I'm being very cautious. It goes back to these haters that are posting things on our channel right here. Now, this case that we're talking about today involves one of these exact scenarios. Ever since this young man was reported missing, I've been following this case daily. His name was Riley Strain, 22 years old, missing March 8th, 2024 from Nashville, Tennessee. He's a student at the University of Missouri, majoring in business and finance. Now, in this book, I talk about how a number of cities in the US and Canada have rivers flowing through them and nobody disappears. But there's a select few that do have rivers that flow through them where a lot of young people disappear. Nashville was not one of those cities on my list that I'd keep an eye on. It will be now. Now, Riley was from Springfield, Missouri. That's where his parents lived, his mom and his stepdad. On that March 8th weekend, he was a member of a fraternity. And every year the fraternity has like a spring formal, and they go to Nashville every year, party up. The members were staying at a place called the Tempo Hotel in downtown. So you've got this fraternity of young men partying in this hotel. A lot of times young people like to drink in the hotel room because it's a cheaper way to get high. without drinking all in the bar. So you stay in the hotel room, get a little buzz going, go to the bar, start socializing. Well, Riley's friends said that before they left for the bar, he had been drinking. Well, the group goes to Luke Bryan's bar in downtown Nashville, a little less than a mile from the hotel, and Riley served 1 alcoholic beverage and 2 glasses of water. First he was cut off, and then he was escorted out of the bar by bouncers. Nothing bad happened. He was just walked out. And one of Riley's friends walked with him down the stairs of the restaurant. His friend says that Riley tells him he's going to go back to the hotel. His friend, at this point, should have walked him back to the hotel. Now I'm going to stop for a second. I'm not placing blame on the friend. I know a lot of young people watch. And here's my guidance. When you go out drinking, you have a responsibility not to yourself, not just to yourself, but to your friends and peers. Morally, we're responsible to do what we can to save a life, to take care of each other. We have to. And the number of cases in this book and the number of cases I have talked to you about over the years are astronomical. And we have to start taking care of each other. Obviously, Riley appeared intoxicated to some people at that bar. That's why he was cut off. That's why he was sent. His friend went with him, saw he was in a bad place. Right thing would have, hindsight's always 20/20. Right thing would have been walk him to the hotel room, get him in his room, tell him to stay there. That would have been the right thing. But that's not what happened. Riley says he's going back to the hotel. Friend goes back up to the bar, and Riley goes and he starts walking in a direction almost parallel to the hotel. At 9:46 that night, Riley's caught on a camera walking down a street with the building in the background, and he appears to be having trouble controlling his gait, his walk. Now, he was nowhere near the hotel at this point, but he was a little less than a mile away. 6 minutes later, Nashville police officer on the street, wearing a body cam, catches Riley on his body cam near First Avenue and Gay Street. On the camera, Riley appears to be walking pretty good. Nothing obviously wrong. The police officer looks at Riley and goes, "Hey, how are you? How you doing?" Riley says, "I'm good, how are you?" That exchange took place 0.7 miles from the bar, less than a mile. Now, it was never stated what time his friends came back from the bar to the hotel, but you can bet it was probably very early in the morning. But his friends said that they got back, they started to look around, they couldn't find Riley. Some of his friends went out in the street and looked, couldn't find him. They go to sleep, they wake up the next morning, Riley's still not there, so they start looking for him some more in the downtown area. They can't find him. And now they start to become sober and reality starts to catch in. Houston, we've got a problem. At 1:40 that day, his friends call Nashville PD and report Riley missing. Just before doing that, they called Riley's parents and told him that he is missing. Now let's understand something. Riley's relationship with his mom was mega close. Sometimes they talked multiple times in the day. A day rarely went by when they didn't talk. There's a great amount of love between those two. Well, the fraternity brothers told the parents what happened, and within 30 minutes, Riley's mom and stepdad were on their way to Nashville. She tried calling him by phone, no answer, left a message, no response. She knew right away something was really wrong. At about 10 o'clock that night, Riley's parents arrive in Nashville and meet with the fraternity brothers. They'd been searching, they couldn't find anybody, couldn't find Riley. Following day, Riley's parents meet with Nashville Police Department. Nashville later says that they'll fly a helicopter up and down the Cumberland River, see what they can find, and around the frontage area where Riley was last seen by the police officer. They also agreed to ping his cell phone. He was last seen wearing a button-type shirt, long pants with a belt, and square-toe cowboy boots. Riley's disappearance made huge news. Nobody ever came forward in Nashville claiming they saw anyone fall into the river. Nobody having a fight down near the river. Nothing like that. But that river area is unusual because there's a lot of homeless people down there and a lot of garbage. Even though Nashville downtown is pristine and nice and well patrolled, that area along the river has a lot of questionable things. It was also confusing because one video showed Riley walking essentially okay, and the earlier video shows him almost staggering. And the difference is 6 minutes between the two, so it doesn't quite make sense. Now, the police department decides that they're going to ping the phone. They ping the phone, and it was located in a public square park near the Cumberland River, very close to the exchange between Riley and the police officer. Now, the video cam shows Riley having this short exchange with the police officer. He goes one way, Riley goes the other. So there was nothing more to that. The parents got a group called the Cajun Navy to help them out with the search. They also got some other search and rescue people to comb the river area, the river bank, downtown, put flyers up everywhere. Nashville police said they would not put divers in the river, Cumberland River. It goes through Nashville. First, this is a picture of Riley. Clean-cut kid, keeping his nose to the grindstone, going out with frat brothers drinking. Typical college night. Nothing real unusual about that. One thing that people knew about Riley, he wore a size 15 shoe. Size 15 boots, those are pretty big boots. And they knew he was wearing boots that night, and a pair of long pants with a belt buckle. Keep that in mind. So the momentum keeps building as the parents keep making public statements, getting in front of the public eye. It's exactly what you have to do. You have to be your own best advocate on these cases. So Riley disappears on March 8th, a little more than a week later, March 17th. Riley's case was all over social media. 2 female social media influencers were live streaming near the Cumberland River, near the area on Gay Street and the park where Riley was last seen by the police officers. And as they were live streaming, and they're looking for evidence, they're just basically publicizing this case, they find Riley's bank card. They can't believe they found it. They were super excited. And about 100 yards away from them at that time, there were 2 Nashville PD canine officers that were working the area. They were brought over, they showed them the card, and later the card was given to Riley's parents, and they confirmed that was Riley's bank card. I thought about this real hard. Let's just say, police want you to believe Riley's drunk, he walks over to the river, falls in, drowns, gets washed downstream, blah, blah, blah. That's what they want you to believe. The bank card. Why would that have been laying on the ground? Many times, young people go out to a bar to go drinking. You take your debit card and your ID. You got to have your ID, otherwise you're not going to be able to get in these establishments. Sometimes you leave your wallet in your room, sometimes you don't. I don't know if Riley did or didn't have the wallet. But why would that card be outside of his pocket? There have been other scenes of missing people where it's almost as though there's change laying on the ground, a comb, everything from your pocket is laying on the ground. It's almost like this person was getting turned upside down and shaken. Why would the card be on the ground? That's a hard one for me to understand. Well, the searches keep going. Parents get frustrated. There's really no new news. And the public still has Riley in the front scope of their eyes. March 22nd. A worker on the Cumberland River, 8 miles west of downtown Nashville, sees something in the water that to him looks like a body. Calls the police, and they recover the body. This is 2 weeks after Riley vanishes. They found Riley. Now here is the real perplexing part of the story. They found him wearing the shirt that he was seen in by the police, wearing his Apple Watch, wearing his boxer shorts, but no boots, no pants, no belt. When I heard that, I'm sorry, that's a hard one to really accept. March 23rd, the coroner actually came out with a very early autopsy, very few details. They said there were no signs of violence to the body. They were waiting for a chemical analysis, and they would make a comment later. 3 months later, full autopsy results come out by the coroner. And they state that Riley's blood alcohol level was 0.228, almost 3 times the legal limit for driving. Well, a young person having that level of alcohol in their system, I'm surprised he was even walking. I'm surprised he could even talk. Usually, you get double or around that 0.2 level of a person who has very little fat content and is that young and not used to drinking that much. Hard to believe. So the question is, was that his blood alcohol level when he went in the river, or did something else happen? I don't know. Riley's parents had a second autopsy done. They didn't like the results of the first. Essentially the same thing, but what neither autopsy released was the date and the time of the death. That's important. what if the date and the time of the death was 2 days before they found the body? Well, where was he then? That's what's not being said. Now, maybe it was in some report that was released somewhere and I missed it. I have no idea. Now, there's still some reporters out there that like to actually do investigative journalism. And there were a few. At the University of Tennessee, they have something called the body farm. I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard of this, but they take bodies and they put them in different, they have an area of a forest, some in the sun, some not in the sun, some around water, some out of the water, some in water, some out of water. And the idea is to develop a systematic understanding of how fast the body deteriorates, decomposition, how the body reacts to sun, water, etc. Well, Dr. Bill Bass is in charge of the body farm at the University of Tennessee. He's a forensic anthropologist. If there was anybody to comment on Riley, this would have been the case. And they went to him. And he was interviewed by multiple news sources. And they asked him, they said, well, what about Riley's body being in the Cumberland River? Well, let's talk about the Cumberland River for a minute. This is not a river that has big waterfalls, tons of white water, fast-moving, rough, turbulent. It's not like that. It's very smooth, somewhat slow as it goes through Nashville. That's what Dr. Bass said. He says it's unusual if you fall into a river and the river gets your pants off. He said it is unlikely they came off in that river. And then he said, no, the pants would not come off by themselves. That's what Dr. Bill Bass said. Not me. Even though that's what I was thinking. That's what he said. So, if the river didn't take off his pants, who took off his pants? Remember, Riley was wearing boots, square-toed cowboy boots. Now, I'm just speaking to me. To get my boots off, you really have to work at it. I mean, they don't come off easy. They're tight. They're designed to fit that way. And Riley was wearing a belt that held his pants up. He wasn't wearing pants like you see some people where they hang down in the middle of their butt. No. His hung like a normal person's and the belt kept him on. They didn't hang low. So what do you make of that? What I make of it, very suspicious. This is a map I made of the scenario that played out in Nashville the night Riley disappeared. So right here was the Tempo Hotel where the boys were staying at. They walk down here on Broadway, walk about 8 blocks, and they get to Luke Bryan's bar. Supposedly Riley had already been drinking. He gets ejected from the bar. He tells his friend, okay, I'm going to walk back to the hotel straight from here. He doesn't. Riley goes down here and he walks along the street down to Gay Street. This is First and Gay. This is where that police video of where the policeman saw him and talked to him, right here. And then, right near the river, is where his credit card was found, right over here. This is the Cumberland River. So here is where everything that took place that night happened. What can you make of that? I don't think that Riley made a mistake of not going back to the hotel. I think he knew the direction. For some reason, he just didn't want to go back. So the profile in Missing 411: A Sobering Coincidence white male adult, under 35, college or university educated, drinking alcohol. No witnesses on the person leaving the location. No witnesses to ever them getting into water or being in a fight. Never any tests for GHB by the typical coroner. Riley's parents were adamant that something else happened. How could I disagree? I think something else happened. Riley's case would fit perfectly in our book. In this book, I wrote about cases in the USA and 4 other countries. They all match. They're all the same. I'm very, very saddened for Riley's parents. They lost a good young man. I hope that they can find their answers. I greatly appreciate you being here. Please remember, share this on your social media. Be safe. Be kind to others. Really, be kind. It costs nothing. Smile. Open doors. Paulides out.